sorry. Hey, it's Jamie. Welcome back to another video of the channel. I don't know, but welcome back either way. I'm very glad to have you here. And today we are filling our little hearts with some positivity by looking at good trans anatomy. These are the rebuttals to transphobia that are just amazing, and people sticking up for the trans community, and just really positive little trans nuggets of news and things like that. And I just want to shove some positivity and trans love in all of your faces, because if you're watching this and you're a trans person, you're a trans ally, you absolutely deserve to see this. If you're watching this and you are a transphobe, just know that you're outnumbered. Not by trans people, because we're only 0.5% of the population, but transphobia is a minority viewpoint that is horrible, wrong, and just has no place in a fair and equitable society. So just know you're on the wrong side of history. Anyway, let's have a look at these wonderful little posts. Are you ready? Researchers say a pivotal anti-trans study is riddled with flaws. This is always the case. We saw it with rapid onset gender dysphoria from Lisa Littman. Very quickly became apparent that that research was absolutely awful, and I made an entire video dismantling it. This one happens to be about the Cass review. It's already been heavily criticized multiple times, but this is a more recent criticism from researchers about it. So the Cass review, last year's heavily contested UK analysis of research into gender affirming care, was deeply flawed and contained numerous problems in methodology and analysis, according to a new peer-reviewed analysis. That's not something that should be ignored. The fact that this poor research, like rapid onset gender dysphoria as well, gets put out in the world, and people are like, well, no, actually, if you did it properly, you'd find this, and this is just really poor quality research, and it is completely misconstrued and not done appropriately, but the damage has already been done. But just know that there are rebuttals out there. There are amazing criticisms and critiques of the Cass review if you want to learn more. I do want to do a proper long video all about it, but I'm not ready yet, but I will be. During our review of the report and supplementary primary research, we found insufficient statistical rigor, unreliable data sets, claims presented without evidence, and misrepresentation of quotes from primary research participants, the researchers wrote. That, like saying that it was unreliable data sets, etc., that description is of the Cass review that is being used to take away access to gender affirming care, particularly for trans kids. Oh my god. And look at how terrible it is. But people still listen to it. Oh no. And why some people continue to listen to poor quality, inaccurate research instead of the trans community. It's that why are we not listening to the people who are actually involved in what we're talking about is a total mystery to me, and probably always will be. But not every mystery is a bad one. And if you like mysteries and you want to solve a couple yourself, then let me introduce you to today's video sponsor, June's Journey. Yes, that was my segue from calling out transphobia to talking about a very fun mobile game. You're welcome. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game set in the glamorous 1920s. You'll follow June Parker, our independent, smart woman protagonist, who is on a mission to solve her sister's murder and runs into plenty other mysteries along the way. It's a visually stunning game, with each new beautiful scene taking you further through an engaging mystery storyline, exploring themes like family, motherhood, love, betrayal, social injustice, and so many more. And I really want to help immerse you in the vision of June's Journey. I love June's Journey. I also love tuna sandwiches. I was making one for my lunch the other day when the doorbell went off, and when I got back to eat my sandwich, I realized it had been stolen. So please help me solve the mystery of the missing tuna sandwich. Welcome to episode 1. I'm at the scene of the crime and I'm looking for clues. What's my first one? Plate. Well, there's my leftover crust. Okay, next is donut cushion. Well, that one's easy, right there. Next item is tissue box. Tissue box, tissue box. There. Next item is the moon. Moon. There. And last clue, cat. Could he be the culprit? Prawn the cat is the obvious suspect, but I do have another cat. I think there's more going on here. If you like that, then you're gonna love June's Journey. I've personally played it for many, many years, and I genuinely really love the game. It is full of diverse characters, the storyline is super cool and engaging, and I'm particularly proud of my island, and you get to decorate your own island. Do you like how I've decorated mine? How would you decorate yours? You can also take part in social events for in-game rewards and join a club to play with friends or like-minded players. So whilst you're waiting for episode 2 of the mystery of the missing tuna sandwich, comment below who you think it is, by the way. Go immerse yourself in the mysteries of the 1920s and help June Parker get her amateur detective on. Download June's Journey today today by clicking the link in my description box or scanning this very handy QR code right here. Go on, give it a scan. You know you want to. June's Journey is available on iOS and Android mobile devices and also on PC. Now, back to the good trans anatomy. Thank you for listening. AJLT star Kristen Davis says she can't understand being transphobic. Me neither. Another mystery. Is she the one from Sex and the City? What is AJLT? Am I out of the loop that I don't know what that is? I'm mystified by anyone trying to stop anybody else from expressing themselves. It's just an expression of your own reality. Who are we to say what is true or not true or possible or not possible? In And Just Like That. Oh, AJLT. And Just Like That. Okay. Kristen Davis plays Charlotte York, a supportive parent to a non-binary teenager named Rock. And in real life, Davis is just as supportive of trans and non-binary kids. It's not hurting you or your kids or anyone. People should have the freedom to be who they are. Absolutely. And I'm also just like, if you are cis, with all due respect, you will never understand what it's like to be trans. It is not your lane to step into and tell people if they are trans or not, or to say what it means to be trans, or say if being trans is valid, or to bring in rules about being trans, or to try and take away trans people's rights, because you do not know what it is like to be trans. You will never fully understand it, and it is one of those things that is like, if you don't get it and you don't like it, have that opinion, but why do you think you have the right to use that opinion to be an asshole to a marginalized community within society? It's very bizarre behavior. Be more this. Thank you. My little sister came out to our parents as trans a few weeks ago, and my mom just told my gran, who is in her 90s, and she's been phoning my mom every day since, saying, so when am I going to meet my granddaughter? I'm so looking forward to meeting her. A living legend. Yes, thank you. I think age is not an excuse. I think it can definitely be harder if you've been brought up with a certain mindset within a certain culture or time era of society, but there are so many in the older generation who are accepting. Both of my parents are 70 or very nearly 70, very accepting, and I had a conversation recently with my mum about her parents, my grandparents. None of my grandparents ever got to meet me as Jamie. I will not get sad, but we were talking about how we were both really confident that they would have been accepting, and I would have liked to have got to know them better as an adult and for them to have met me. I'm like 100% confident that the worst would have been, oh, I don't really understand it, but I'll what do we call you kind of vibe, you know? So you go, accepting grandparents. I had a meet and greet with the why is it so difficult a word? I had a meet and greet with the anesthesiologist for my top surgery, and he said it's his favorite procedure to work on because everyone who wants it is just truly happy to be there. And I can't stop thinking about this career that is 99% attending to various sadness and miseries and woes, and 1% having funny little dudes in danger-filled button-ups throwing themselves on the operating table like, yo, let's go. I feel like that's a really cute way of looking at it. It must be really hard to work in the medical field because you are seeing people when they are feeling perhaps their worst, or they're feeling incredibly sad, or they're going through the most difficult, dreadful time of their lives. But there are some cases where you are genuinely doing something that that person really wants to have done, and it will bring them so much joy and happiness in their life. Funny little dudes in danger-filled button-ups. I know what a button-up, but what is a danger-filled button-up? Am I going to look stupid for Googling this? I still don't understand. Stuff has come up when I Google it, but what is it? Is it a specific, is it a brand? Is it, I don't know. Anyway, yes. And we have another story where I have to say anesthesiologist again. Why I did it. As the you-know-what was wheeling me into the OR, I grabbed the nurse's hand as we passed her and I said, I'll be right back. I've got to get something off my chest. My journey to the OR was temporarily delayed because said anesthesiologist was bent at the waist in hysterics and took several minutes to collect himself. I feel like he's maybe not heard that joke as many times as he should have because, yes, funny. Very done though. Very done. I love it. But get those things off your chest. Do it. I love that he laughed at it and it delayed your surgery. A very done joke. Thousands of cis women signed petition rejecting transphobia. We will speak for ourselves. Almost 10,000 cisgender women have signed the petition. Damn. It's on change.org and it's called Not in Our Name, Women in Support of the Trans Plus Community. I'll leave a little screenshot here about it. It currently has just under 18,000 signatures. We're a collective of cisgender women from every corner of society, mothers, daughters, friends, sisters, partners, colleagues, caregivers, and leaders. We represent diverse ages, backgrounds, and life experiences united by a shared truth that demands to be heard. We reject completely and categorically the active discrimination and exclusion of trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people. Those who continue to target this minority group do not speak for us or represent our interests. They never have, they never will. Cisgender men who abuse their power are the real threat. If you are not sure where you stand on trans issues, have a look at this. I think it's really important for stuff like this to be said, because bigots, including very, very prolific and well-known transphobes, love to say that they are being transphobic in the name of protecting and standing up for cis women. And that can even include straight cis women who are transphobic saying they are standing up for lesbian cis women. Lesbian cis women are the most accepting group in society of the trans community, with only 3% not being supportive of trans people. There are also cisgender men out there saying that they are standing up for cis women by being transphobic, and saying they are standing up for cis lesbians by being transphobic. No, they are not. They just found a way to acceptably, within some circles, hate on a marginalized group within society. That is it. They don't give a shit about anybody, and you can really see it when TERFs, transphobes are all over stuff, when they can shit on the trans community, but then they're nowhere to be seen when women's rights are actually under attack. Where are you? So yeah, if you're a cis woman and you support the trans community and you're fed up of other people speaking in your behalf and saying that cis women are fed up with trans people, and you're not fed up with trans people, then maybe go check out this petition. Kate Nash hits back at TERFs like JK Rowling with new song Germ. I take it very personally that the loudest feminist voice in the room is anti-trans. In case you needed another reason to stan Kate Nash, she just released an anti-JK Rowling and anti-TERF song, link in bio to listen. I don't think I'd be able to play it, but we can have a little look at the lyrics. Oh, it is very on the nose. It's not a song with a hidden message or like a kind of poetic meaning. It is literally just women are facing serious dangers, not during boxing matches or from trans people needing a piss, but from actual violence that is carried out against them every week. Go check it out. Stream Germ. Can't call yourself a feminist if all you do is be transphobic. Nicola Gofflin raised over £70,000 for trans rights following UK court ruling. I think this is actually over 100,000 now, and she continues to speak up in support of the trans community. It's very important, and as a trans person, very uplifting, because sometimes the loudness and the power behind some of the transphobic voices at the minute can make things feel really doom and gloom and dark, and like nobody has support for us. And so actually seeing like Nicola Gofflin doing this, speaking out, raising money, people like Kate Nash releasing a song, Kristen Davis speaking out in support of the trans community, it's all important. Cis women signing a petition to say
we're not transphobic, hello, stop saying we are.
It all means a lot, because trans people are only 0.5% of the population. When you've got a very famous billionaire not liking the trans community, it makes it really difficult to get heard or feel heard. And so right now we're in that situation where cis ally voices are so important. Okay, this next one is my mum. So my mum has Twitter. I'm not gonna share her handle, just because if there is anybody watching this that is not very nice, I do not want to share. But she posted this publicly. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me sharing. I would just rather minimize the impact or the ease at which people could find her. But yeah, she says she's she's a big fan of my channel, and she checks my Instagram. I get messages from my mum when I post things on Instagram commenting on it, including things like, oh, you got a new tattoo. Okay. But yeah, she calls my YouTube channel my little website. It's very cute. So when the Supreme Court ruling happened that for the purposes of the Equality Act in the UK changed the legal definition of woman to mean like biological sex at birth, therefore including trans men in that definition, very bizarrely. And then there was guidance coming out that was like, oh yes, and now, you know, you need to use the public facilities of your biological sex. And I made some content about being a trans man and being like, wow, yeah, so you want trans men in women's bathrooms, because that really makes it safer for women from predatory cis men who can now just say they're a trans man, because for a lot of trans men, people just assume they're cis men unless they say anything. Anyway, a transphobe shared my video on Twitter and said when they actually say stuff like this, what they're actually saying is, haha, look, we've made it so that women are never safe. You think you've won, but actually we're still going to find a way to make women scared and uncomfortable. Actually, it's the TERFs who campaigned to push push trans women into men's bathrooms and trans men into women's who are the ones that are going to find a way to make women scared and uncomfortable. It's the transphobes that have led to an increase in gender non-conforming cis women being harassed, kicked out, and shouted at in women's spaces because people assume they are trans women. My video was not at all threatening. It said trans men coming to a women's bathroom near you because that's what the TERFs want, right? Because that is literally what they have ended up doing through their hateful campaign. Their bigotry is not protecting women, it's about transphobia and nothing else. And it is literally pushing trans men, and it's not about saying that trans men are the danger by being in women's spaces, not at all. It's about saying that putting trans men who are read in their daily lives as cis men into women's spaces, that's unfair on both the trans men and also the cis women in those spaces, because everybody is going to feel really uncomfortable and nobody wants that situation to be happening. But also it allows predatory cis men who also can just walk into any bathroom they want anyway, okay? But it allows cis men who are not pretending to be trans women anyway, there is no evidence for that, a much easier access. Because they just walk in and say, I'm a trans man. That's the point. But no, the TERFs still find a way to bring it back round and villainize trans people and not take accountability that their action has actually put trans people and all cis women in more danger. Anyway, my mum replied to this transphobe on Twitter. It's really sweet. I wish she wouldn't, because I don't want her to bring that upon herself and attention to herself from these people, because she's very lovely and she doesn't deserve it. But she said, this is my wonderful, kind and respectful transgender son who I'm immensely proud of. He is making a point about the misguided Supreme Court ruling and its interpretation. He would never want to or be a threat to women or anyone else. Trans rights are human rights. I could cry. Honestly, I feel it. I feel the lump, because like my mum, she went off on Twitter around the Supreme Court ruling thing. She was like sharing stuff and retweeting things and posting things. She was not happy, and she's been signing things and donating and doing all of this stuff. And like, I really feel so lucky to both my parents. My dad is wonderful as well. He's just not online, which is why I'm talking about my mum in this instance, who are not just accepting of me because I'm their child, but are accepting of all types of different people in this world, and are not just accepting to me in private and being like, oh, isn't it terrible? But then not doing anything like that, actively speaking up. And the place where my mum worked, she was like an advocate and a vocal ally for trans people in that place of work and everything. And I really appreciate it. And I'm going to move on to the next one before I talk too much. But yeah, I just wanted to give my mom a little shout out because I think she's really cool. Yay. This tiny crab museum is clawing back at UK anti-trans ruling in the most iconic way. Crabs claw back. A vehemently pro-trans crab museum in England is clapping back at the UK Supreme Court's recent ruling that transgender people are legally defined by their biological sex assigned at birth. How? Where is this crab museum? Sorry, wait. Crab museum. Trans rights. Let's do that. A museum that highlights the science, humour and philosophy of crabs has issued a condemnation of the UK's Supreme Court ruling on the definition of a woman. Wow. The Crab Museum in Margate, Kent, if you fancy visiting, shared its solidarity with the trans community after the UK's top court last week ruled on the definition of sex in the 2010 Equality Act. The judges decided, we know what the judges decided. A spokesperson for the museum has denounced the judge's decision to exclude a group of persecuted people from the equality legislation, adding the ruling centred on the word biology, with the judge stating that biological sex is assumed to be self-explanatory and to require no further explanation. Speaking in a professional capacity as a museum of biology, that is not how biology works. It is not. Biology, like all sciences, should never be taken for granted or assumed to be self-explanatory. Even worse, it should never be used to justify weaponized cultural war issues. This ruling is an abuse of science. Much like gender identity, biological sex is a spectrum that can vary greatly between individuals, and there are no binaries in nature, the spokesperson added. Let's all go to the Crab Museum and buy all of the crab souvenirs at the gift shop to show our support. I freaking love that. A crab museum. Do you know, Sharpa and I literally today, we're putting up some new shelves, and like we thought it'd be nice to have like a couple bits for them. And we bought this little ornamental gold crab with the idea that the claws could hold like pride flags on the shelf. It wasn't even planned. I didn't know. Oh my God. If I set it up before this video goes live, there will be a photo here. If I haven't set it up yet, I'm sorry. You'll just have to imagine a little crab holding pride flags, a gold crab. Is this the new saying? Crabs are cool, transphobia is not? Do I need to make some new merch now? I love that. Oh, okay. This is beautiful. So, Lush. We love Lush. Lush have also pulled out of being a sponsor at Download Fest after Download Festival did this whole shittery where they listened for some reason to the EHRC guidance on bathrooms, and they were like,
our bathrooms will, the trans people can't we follow the guidance.
It was all very muddled. I think that most of the toilets are portaloos anyway, which is ridiculous because they're all individual cubicles. When have you ever gone to any festival or event or anything where the portaloos have been gendered? Every single time I have used a portaloo, I have been queuing with people of all genders, all biological births, so everybody's in the same queue because you lock yourself in an individual little cubicle and you do your business and then you leave, okay? Why they had to do that, I don't know. So Lush pulled out their sponsorship after Download were not very nice to the trans community, but they also, before this, brought out the Liberation Bath Bomb, which is a fundraising product standing up for trans rights and celebrating trans lives. Lush have always been very there for marginalized communities. So it says, celebrate trans lives and stand up for trans rights with this luxurious liberating bath bomb layered in the pink, blue and white of the trans flag and scented with our beloved American cream fragrance. You'll soak amongst the sweetness of creamy vanilla absolute and the background warmth, slightly woody note of benzoin red, I don't know what that is, and the wonderfulness of trans rights. Is it still available? Liberation Bath Bomb Lush. I don't know how long it's running for, but if you want to go grab one, the day I'm making this video, it is still available, and 75% of sale prices, minus tax, will be donated to organizations that are advocating for trans rights, supporting the trans community, and uplifting trans voices. And the Trans Liberation Campaign partners are Transactual, a UK-led and run organisation working for trans people in politics, advocating for better healthcare provision and hosting community resources. My Generation is a non-profit championing trans representation in film, photography and illustration, founded by Fox Fisher and Lewis Hancock, both wonderful people. Designers of the Liberation Campaign window, they create authentic content that celebrates trans lives and educates through entertainment. So that is why we needed to read that post first, because this image of the window, this is a window display in Lush stores. This specific one was in Brighton, but I believe they are all over. And this was designed by My Generation, so Fox and Lewis. So imagine a world where these are the headlines. UK leads on trans rights. Transphobia? We don't know. I guess we don't know it maybe. GPs on board with gender affirming care. Trans youth living their truth. Hate crimes at historic low. The UK, a safe haven for LGBTQ plus asylum seekers. Wouldn't that be a wonderful world? Lovely. In this climate, to see a high street brand and a store that is on most high streets in the UK in towns and cities have such a trans positive thing in their window displays, and also have a product dedicating to raising money to trans organizations, and then also pulling sponsorship and support of things that are not trans supportive. Super appreciate that. Lovely. So we have a guy eating a big blue cake, massive, and then I'm assuming what's supposed to represent a trans woman wearing a little trans hat and a cis woman, and the cis woman is like, this isn't okay, and the cis woman has a slice of cake and the trans woman has a little cupcake to show the disparity in equality between men in society and women in society, but then also the fact that trans women are both targeted for being trans and for being women. Okay, and trans women is like, you're right, and then the cis woman is like, you're not a woman, you're a man, you're erasing me. This just perfectly sums up the ridiculousness of TERFs, of transphobes, of things like the Supreme Court ruling in the UK, because it is literally cis men who are there with the whole freaking cake, okay, the whole cake, and it's not right for all women. Trans women and cis women's rights are not in opposition of one another. So the cis women who are shouting at trans women, not the one. No. And that's it for today's video. Don't forget to go download June's Journey using the link in the description box or scanning this handy QR code. I'm going to leave it up for a little bit because you want to scan it. Go on, scan the QR code. I feel like one of those auctioneers. Scan the QR code. Go on, scan the QR code. Okay, I'm going to stop tickling the bottom of the QR code and I will leave you be now. Thank you so much for watching. Think about getting a thumbs up and subscribing if you want to, but no pressure. The name's going up the screen of my lovely Patreons, and you can join the Spud Club. I've just literally come up with that name now. I haven't named it. You can join my Patreon if you want to, but no pressure. Big shout out to my top tier Patreons: Night Soul, Sugar Joe, Jill B, Eldon K, Nesta, The Third Hatman, Jaden Cricket, Max Makes Mods, River Champagne Mod, Rai Loves Rory, Chloe, Ioana Balash, TNS Mum, Sally Drew, Randy, Albar, Marv Mallow, Rachel Raptor, Jesse Entwistle, and Gosco. Thank you so much. As always, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you next time. Much love. Bye. Oh, that was a really weird bye. Goodbye. Au revoir. See you next time.